One more.
Well, we told you we're coming back with Mana Lucifron. We lied, and it's his fault. Mana's ready. Lucifron's still in his previous game with Tefel. We've been lucky enough to get in. They're going into game 3 on Metropolis. We're just going to jump right into there and have a lot of fun watching that game. And when Lucifron's out of that, we'll get the match with Mana started. All right? So over to the casters. Let's watch.
Thanks very much, guys. And Kaldor's apparently magically transformed to some Brit here.
Kaldor got a bit thinner. He grew some hair. It's a bit longer than before.
It's doing all right.
No, I'm not Kaldor. I'm Apollo, of course, with Claris. Ready to bring you this next game. Jumping into a special game here. Yep. As mentioned, we are meant to be going into Mana versus Lucifron, but of course Lucifron needs to play and finish with Tefel first.
He does, he does. This is 1-1 currently, I believe, in this series.
Yep.
So Tefel, a very, very strong Polish Zerg, recently joining Dignitas, something that you know full well about.
That's right, and we'll talk about that in a second, more about Tefel in a second once we get into this game, and we will be starting on this third map on Metropolis.
Oh, Metropolis. Okay, well, spawning down to the southern position here as our Red Terran at game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Lucifron. And spawning up to the top, right-ish corner, spawning as our blue Zerg. Poland, give it up for Tefel.
That's right, fantastic audience here. Really supporting and backing their players within this tournament. Tefel, remember, qualified through the open bracket yesterday.
Yes.
He unfortunately had to beat another Polish player on his way through, but he did manage to make it here today. Lucifron qualified or directly into the main tournament through going through the qualification system beforehand online.
Yep. Did.
And is looking very good as of recent.
Yeah, Lucifron crushed his way through the brackets in the qualification process to IEM Katowice. He absolutely dominated that upper bracket, and from that point on, he is here, along with Protoss brethren such as Cass, doing very, very well for themselves, representing Terran.
That's right. Lucifron, in the qualification rounds, he was undefeated. Like, throughout all the rounds he played in, he was undefeated. He brought down some massive Zerg players, such as Snoot, his brother again. They always do meet. Maybe they'll meet again in this tournament. We'll have to find out. But first of all, Lucifron needs to finish this third game off. If he's going to be looking to play against his brother early on, we do have a command center first down from Lucifron.
Yeah, opening with a very, very macro-heavy style here, whilst we have Tefel going for spawning pool first into hatchery. I don't mind this from Tefel because Lucifron, time and time again on maps like Cloud Kingdom, for example, does love 11-11, and Tefel's taking precautions against that.
That's right. I mean, Tefel's a very, he's like a medium Zerg player. When you look at the Zerg scene within Europe, Tefel's this kind of guy that kind of goes under the radar a little bit, but he can beat anybody in the scene. Maybe not consistently, but it is possible. He's already taken the game from Lucifron. That shows us that he can definitely take this series if he plays well on Metropolis here. He needs to play well because he's currently 0-1 in his group, unfortunately losing to Mana. But we'll see if he can bring up his score to 1-1 with a victory over Lucifron in this game.
Yeah, and just in the past of Tefel, how he's gone, you were saying he's flown under the radar, and for a long time he was on a team called Blast, that also flew under the radar, but had some fantastic players in the form of Kras, in the form of SYZ, in the form of Tefel. All of these players now playing for other teams now, but still doing really, really well for themselves.
That's right, and we are starting to see a bit more development in the game as Lucifron sees, more importantly. There's no gas been taken for Tefel, which means Lucifron's feeling pretty confident. Obviously, there's no early rush, no early danger coming from the Polish player. And behind this, Lucifron is going to be heading towards his Reactor Hellions, as we've seen him taking his gas.
That was a nice step to take here, especially on a map like Metropolis. Not a problem for the Zerg to get their creep going if you allow them to. Admittedly, there are a few paths you need to get it going, so it's not as open as a map like Ohana. Really need to push down on, as for now we on the way here.
That's right, and we have two Lings. Oh dearie me. Well, that's actually a pretty nice hold position there by Lucifron.
Oh, yeah.
Making that wall, and two Marines come to slaughter those Lings. Tefel does see the reactor going down on the barracks and will know that Hellions will be on the way shortly, and immediately starts a third queen, or fourth queen should I say. We'll be looking to get that creep spread out there and starting to set up a defense for what he knows could be coming.
That was really nice by Lucifron, as you point out, the two little SCVs there. Again, it's those small little things that really make a player strong, because without that, the Zerglings would have got in. They would have seen, if there was both gas geysers down, it's not a massive difference, but it's still a difference that Tefel wants to spot.
And Tefel, through seeing the factory, knows there was no super fast third command center. He's kind of built an image of what Lucifron's going for now. Yeah. And we can see inside the main base of Lucifron, he only took one gas in this game, and with only one gas taken, that's not a big surge of gas coming into his bank. Therefore, he's going to have a lot more minerals, and as we can see in the production tab, a third command center was started.
Yep, Tefel here, meanwhile, getting his Roach Warren to kick things off with this, getting a ton more drones as well, trying to rocket up as fast as he can do, whilst we still have those Hellions in production, and Marauders already going down. So Lucifron already committing to the answer to what Tefel's bringing.
Oh, that SCV one hit away does manage to scout out that third base, and it is a relatively decently timed third base there. It doesn't signify any fast layer, so he knows that the layer should be starting around about now. So Lucifron, upon seeing that, should know that his opponent is playing relatively standard, as we can see so far.
Is that building supposed to be off the tech lab? I don't think he's building in exactly the right spot there.
Reactor.
Oh, it's reactor.
Yes.
Well, anyway, yeah, so slightly off there. He will have to lift that in just a second, but a minor thing whilst we have the Hellions poking forwards, trying to find an opening, but Tefel's not giving him it.
Yeah, great defensive setup. Roach Warren, Evolution Chamber, and then those queens. And he has 7 roaches to make sure that the Hellions do not get into the drone line, because very shortly, that third base is going to finish, and he will want to start droning towards that. Without those roaches, those Hellions could very easily fry some drones.
Yeah, and as we've talked about before many times, it's the 8 to 10 minute mark where Zergs transfer the drones over to that location, which can be a little bit dicey. Still, that barrack's not in the right location here, as Lucifron will lift it up once again.
That's right, there it is, lifted over, and we are going to be seeing a bio play from Lucifron. He does like to play mech, especially on this map, but he has elected to play bio, which is of course Marine, a Marauder by the looks of it, and a nice set of double upgrades coming out for them.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good that you mentioned that, because time and time again when we see Lucifron play against his brother Vortex, there's that mech style constantly coming in from Lucifron here, but he knows how to diversify it. He knows how to mix it up and really keep his opponent on their toes.
And Tefel confirms that he is playing against bio, and will be expecting drops to start very shortly. At this stage, though, of course, the star put should be starting, which he did see with the Changeling, and will start to prepare the Infestors to get them out so he can stop any drops coming into his main base close by air. He will surely anticipate this coming shortly.
Yeah, this is, I mean, there's a difference from what we were seeing from, we were commentating, was it me and you or Kaldor? Anyway, the point is that Funke was going up against Tefel previously, and he was going for a 3 command center style, but really not poking with these kinds of Hellions or anything like that. And going for that kind of passive play means that your opponent doesn't have to make any units. They can just drone and drone and drone and drone. Lucifron hasn't done any super direct damage with these Hellions, but he's kept his opponent once again on his toes. He's kept him having to make units and having to go for those defensive situations all the time.
And really, so far, I mean, if you're looking at who's in the lead, who's not, it is a very equal game.
Yep.
A little bit unfortunate for Lucifron to get supply block there at 89. It's going to slow him down a bit and push Tefel a bit further ahead in terms of supply. But both players upgrading at a decent speed and both making a decently sized army too. But so far, so equal.
Yep. This crowd here, well behind their Polish representative, as he now powers on to his 4th base here, trying to get this going as best he can do. 5 Infestors on the way with that Pathogen Glands as well. Lucifron doesn't know anything about the Infestation Pit just yet, and we do have a Spire now starting from Tefel, so he might be going into that hive very soon.
Yeah, he should be starting that momentarily here, as taking that 4th base ready to get those gases, but as mentioned so far, no real damage done to either of the players. Lucifron now just setting up his 3rd base, making sure there's no 3 base timers, because Lucifron's never going to attack at this moment. He's the one building upgrades, he's the one just now taking his 3rd base, and he's the one that's actually open to some form of 3 base timings from Zerg. Therefore, we see a great spread of units. We see a turret coming down in case borrowed Infestors or something broke the line. And, well, those Hellions aren't destined for this game.
No, not at all. They get shredded to pieces by those little Zergling claws, with +1 finishing up for them in just a second here. But he did get vision of that 4th base, which is quite useful for Lucifron here. But at the same time, he's kind of expecting that.
Yeah, and well, the defense is now getting set up in Tefel's main base for anticipating these drops, which you are going to start seeing coming out now the Medivacs have entered the field. And the first one is going to leave Lucifron's base, and we're going to see how much damage he can do. There's not really that many overlords. The single overlord there, real men drill deep. The single overlord there will actually spot that drop on the current pathway, and that will give Tefel a heads up.
Yep. Nicely positioned there. There's so much air room to cover on this map, but if you can just position overlords nicely, you can deal with that. Okay, gets away. Tefel on the hunt, but unsuccessful.
And good movement out here by Lucifron. Should be wanting to scan right there on the Xel'Naga Tower to remove the creep spread. Because that's the one direction that the creep spread's actually going there. And actually, oh dear me, what's going on here?
Whoa, where are they going? Fungal goes down, but he catches 3 infestors in the process, picks up everything, trying to get away. Does he have enough energy to kill? Oh, yes, he does. Well, there you go.
Well, that was a bit of a mistake there, and the drop enters the main base, and Lucifron seems to have cracked the armor of Tefel right now as he drops there. Will start to pick off a couple of drones. This Medivac isn't going to really escape as the fungal growth does lock it down, but 3 infestor kills and a couple of drone kills there for hardly anything was a pretty successful small attack there by Lucifron.
Yeah, trading majoritively minerals for those big gas units is a really nice pickup there for Lucifron. But meanwhile, Tefel rebolstering his forces here, getting a few Corruptors out, morphing those into Broodlords pretty soon, I would think, once that Greater Spire finishes.
And because of those infestors being drilled down before, we're going to see Lucifron move out with his 2-2 timing. And it has to I was going to say, make sure to spread as he stims and spreads at the same time. But Tefel goes in before the tanks actually siege up and gets a lot of damage done, but does quite back off just as the tanks start to fire down. But Tefel's going to have a new squad there, and that was a nice engagement there by Tefel.
You're right, that was a lot of free damage there, especially with the tanks not being able to do any damage whatsoever. They're going to siege up once again, but the Zerglings close the gap really, really quickly. Tefel in a really good position, locking them down with the Fungals as well. The Corruptors come in and kill off the Medivacs, but he has to retreat. There's too much Bioforce for now.
Remember, this is a very big map here. There's different waves of Zerg armies you have to go through to actually get to the real baseline. And once again, we're going to see Lucifron attempt another attack here. More Fungals, more infestors coming out. Is Lucifron going to be able to break it? It doesn't look like it. Tefel holds the line, and with Broodlords being morphed, unfortunately couldn't quite keep that 4th base from going down, but with Broodlords being morphed, he should be okay. He does have 1 Fungal there. Could trap all those Marines.
And he spots all of those Broodlords morphing in with the scan with the Marines. The Zergling's going to try and run into the surround here. 1 tank's going to get sniped out pretty darn quickly as well by the Roaches. Zerglings finding good surface area on the Marines here, killing off the majority of them, and the Broodlords come in to clean up.
And this is why this is a very difficult map for Terran here, because you have to go through like 3 to 4 different Zerg armies before you actually get to do real damage. And luckily for Tefel, that's worked in his favor now as we see Lucifron attempting to get that 4th up and running, attempting to get drops around the map, but now Tefel has a very strong army. There's hardly any Vikings on the field yet.
Lucifron has to scramble for some defense here. He's got that planetary fortress on the way, but he has to craft his army to deal with what Tefel has now accrued himself. Lucifron going for drops here, trying to keep his opponent on the back foot once again as the Marines trying to deal with a huge torrent of Zerglings that could potentially push in, but those siege tanks are going to hold him at bay for now.
Only 1 Viking at the moment, about to be joined by 2 others. There is a drop headed towards the 5th to 4th base of Tefel. Is Lucifron going to be able to hold on? He has 30 supply deficit at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like he guts Fungal, blocking those Marines down there. Tefel just looking for the most opportune time to actually push in against this. If he realizes how low his opponent's Viking count is, that might be good for him, but he's going to go for a drop regardless up to the north here. Lucifron trying to stretch his opponent thin, but Tefel is not letting up with that assault.
Tefel might be able to break Lucifron here. It's going to be very close. The Broodlords already there launching their attack, and here we go.
Yeah, it looks like Tefel's still pushing in here. He doesn't have that many Zerglings. They all ran up to the Planetary Fortress. A lot of them do die in the process here. There's not that many Corruptors left over actually to deal with that 1 Viking left over, or 2 even I should say, but there's no more ground force left over from Lucifron. Tefel pushing forwards with a lot of Broodlings, Roaches, and the Infestors, and there's not that much left over for Lucifron.
Tefel's very close to picking up his first win here at the Intellistory Masters Day 2 in the main tournament. He is so close to beating Lucifron down 2-1, up 50 supply at the moment, and he is about to breach the main lines.
Oh, as well as sitting on all of that infrastructure. This is a scary spot for Lucifron to be in. Tefel barreling down on all of that production means that Lucifron has a very, very hard time consolidating his forces, trying to get them into the fray all together to mount some assault against this pressure, but now killing off those starports means very few more Vikings coming out here for Lucifron.
That's right, and he's trying to build medivacs because he doesn't really have anything to heal his army, so Lucifron's caught in a terrible position here, and Tefel slamming Lucifron against the wall. and it doesn't look bright here for the Spaniards.
Tefel now still just breaching this location. Lucifron trying to scramble, holding on by tooth and nail. The expansion goes down for him. He's limited in terms of his income. He's limited in terms of his production. Tefel now sending his Zerglings over to the 4th base. Might just be a victory for the Polish player.
Yeah, it looks like Lucifron's playing very stubborn here as Tefel's so close to victory. It's almost impossible for Lucifron to come back from this position, and Tefel very close to picking up his first win. Gonna pick off this 4th base nice and easy there. And once that 4th base goes down, the main army is next.
Yeah, the Fungals lock down the rest of that bio there, pushing in. And with those Broodlords sealing the deal here for Tefel. Lucifron coming to terms with this loss as the Zerglings kill off the remainder of his bio force. He still has a few more Marines in production, but it's not going to cut it against that many units.
Yeah, a stubborn defense, but a weak defense here from Lucifron. Good game, well
GG.
played. Tefel does it. A big win there for Tefel, as you can see on his face. Very happy with that victory here in his home country, beating a fantastic Terran player.
Yep, very, very well done by him. Poland, once again, give it up for Tefel.
A massive amount of support here for all the Polish players in the main tournament, and that support gives the home advantage. And that very well could have pushed Tefel towards his victory.
So true, Lucifron's a menace in TVZ, but Tefel brings the thunder there, brings it very, very ferociously, and that's going to do it for that series.
That's right, guys. So we're going to be passing it over to our analysis desk with QXC and Todd very shortly here for a breakdown of how Tefel was able to beat Lucifron.
This crowd is hungry for blood. They were so excited. They gave me goosebumps. They got so loud.
I've got
I'm just
goosebumps
all
like the
over,
whole
man.
time.
Crazy game.
That
I'm
was
not
a
sure
pretty sick game.
ever wanted to be Polish more than right now. I want them to cheer for me like that. Be like, the analyst guy. Woo! Now, the game was pretty close, but all of a sudden there was an abrupt shift, and it clearly went in Tefel's favor, and it ended shortly afterward. What was that shift? What was the key turning point?
I mean, pretty much what happened was the way this matchup is being played out right now, the way Lucifron was playing it out, is you're aiming for a 2-2 timing that has got to do a ton of damage before Hive Tech hits. Usually you're trying to keep your opponent's 4th base down, you're trying to keep their economy low so that they're not able to kind of explode into Hive Tech. And that was what we saw Tefel do in this game, and just basically overrun Lucifron at that point. And so he takes his 3rd relatively quickly. From there, he saturates it. Once he's got his 3rd saturated, look at the crowd. Tefel loves it.
That smile, man.
Yeah, man.
That smile.
He's got a good day ahead of him. Once he takes his 3rd, he's got it saturated. He's going to go on, take his 4th. Only use it for gas, because that's really what's most important. Gas for those Hive Tech units. Convert that into Broodlords, convert that into Infestors, and Lucifron just was not able to do enough damage, deny his economy enough with that push. And we can go ahead and just take a quick look, relive that push, Tefel's awesome defense there, and what led him up for that win. So let's jump into that replay real quick here. We can see this is Lucifron's 2-2 push. This is his timing to make something happen before Hive Tech comes out. Tefel knows it. He's ready to meet it. His Infestors are up front. He's using the Corruptors. He gets them a little early. That keeps the medevac count low. Great Fungals. Catches the siege tanks, does a bit of damage. He's going to back up. And Tefel all this time is constantly rallying. He's getting his Greater Spire. He's getting into Broodlords. Lucifron has to push. He's got to push. That's all he can do. And Tefel, again, takes it. Reduces this force by a significant enough amount that he doesn't have to commit anymore. He's not really losing any more Infestors. His 4th is mining. He's got that extra gas. And from there, once his upgrades, his 2-2 finishes, he can basically rally Speedlings. Lucifron with no medevacs. Broodlords are about to finish. And then from there, he's able to push and take the rest of this game. Very well played by Tefel, able to defend that 2-2 push and go on and take the game.
And coming back from 0-1 in the Series 2 to take 2 in a row and really please this crowd.
Yep.
It was great. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to see Mana take on Lucifron, and it's going to get nuts.